What if I told you that ghosts were real? I'm not talking about the spirits of dead people stuck between here and the afterlife, forced to haunt something until their life mission is fulfilled. I'm talking about tiny, tiny particles, impossible to see and almost impossible to detect. And yet 100 trillion of them pass through our bodies every single second, and we don't even notice. I think I'd notice if a dead person walked through me. Anyhow, I'm talking about the neutrino, or the ghost particle. Neutrinos are the smallest of the subatomic particles, or, particles smaller than an atom, and they're neutral in charge, hence the name neutrino, which actually means like little neutral one. Isn't that kind of cute? But they are so tiny that they can pass through matter like it's nothing, because most of matter is actually made up of empty space, even if we don't see it that way. So this table that you cannot see because it's not in frame, this vase of flowers I see as solid, but is actually mostly empty space, and a neutrino is tiny enough to fly through that empty space. Every once in a while, a neutrino will interact with something, actually hit some part of an atom, and interactions with other objects is actually how we as people, and more specifically like the scientists, can figure out something is there. So if a neutrino doesn't interact with barely anything, scientists have a really hard time detecting it, hence its nickname as the ghost particle. One of the ways that scientists have been trying to detect these things is to build massive detectors and to shoot a lot of neutrinos at them. Yeah, kind of wild stuff to think about. Research on neutrinos is typically done underground in old mines because it helps shield the experiments from other cosmic forces or other particles or other interactions that just naturally occur on the Earth's surface. So by going deep underground, scientists can be more sure that any interactions they do see is because of neutrinos. And they build these massive detectors and shoot massive amount of neutrinos at them to just try and pick up at least a couple to make a signal. One of the big projects going on right now is actually I can't remember its acronym, it's the DUNE, or Deep Underground Neutrino Experiment, taking place between Fermi Labs, which is located in Illinois, and the Sanford Underground Research Facility in South Dakota. They're building giant detectors, each about the size of a 4-story building. They're building a gigantic neutrino beam because, again, the larger the detector, the larger the amount of neutrinos, the more likely an interaction is going to occur. Once the detectors and beam are set up, again, these are happening in miles beneath the surface in underground labs, they're going to start shooting neutrinos between Illinois and South Dakota and measure what happens. And because the neutrinos are so small, they don't even have to dig a tunnel. They're going to travel through that dirt, and they're going to hopefully measure neutrinos. I think that the neutrino, or ghost particle, is teensy bit spooky, but mostly very cool, especially how scientists are devising experiments in order to try to measure basically the unmeasurable. I just think it's cool. So that's our little highlight of spooky science today about the neutrino and some really cool high-level particle physics going on in the world right now. This is an ongoing, the DUNE experiment is ongoing global, international, cooperative scientific experiment that's currently ongoing, so just cool modern day science. We'll be doing spooky science the whole rest of the month of October. Hop on my TikTok to see daily science experiments. Hop on my Instagram to see daily Halloween inspired outfits. Comment below if you have any other cool spooky science topics or how you feel about the neutrino. I feel pretty positive about it, even though it's a neutral particle. That's not really that funny. Anyhow, like this video, subscribe to my channel, check me out on Buy Me a Coffee, and as always, keep it sciencey and spooky. Spooky science, spooky science, spooky science, spooky science, spooky science, spooky science, spooky.